I know people who do it in the gym, they'll just, here's 20 quid, or here's your stuff, you know, just in front of everybody. It's just a norm, I think.
I do know of people who have passed away from doing too many cycles, too much partying, not taking care of yourself, and then it's obviously all just gone horribly wrong.
I mean, what's staggering is if you type in buy steroids UK and you get 4 million results, and it's so easy to buy. It's just like buying your run-of-the-mill supplement from any website, and I don't even know what I'm buying, and I can buy it. I can just click add to cart, and there you go, steroids. We emailed our readers asking them if they are or they're thinking about using steroids. Dentists, doctors, we had lawyers, we had CEOs of companies, we had physiotherapists at top sports clubs. It wasn't just your typical beefheads and your gym bros taking steroids who are getting in touch. So we're in Wales now to meet one of those guys called Mike, who is openly taking steroids.
Hi mate, you right?
Hi mate, you alright, Mike?
Yeah, good, come in.
So have you got any steroids on you?
Yeah, I've got some here if you want to have a look.
So you keep it in you just keep it in your cupboard in the kitchen?
Yeah, pretty much, mate. I mean, we've got, like I said, I'm doing a stripping course at the minute, so take off any excess fat, which when I did the bulking course, obviously you're going to retain a bit of fat, so this is to do it. So you've got like fat burners there, which are just tablets. And we've got the test propionate, like I said, it's the fast acting one, so it's in and out of your system.
Right, so these are injections?
Yeah, so every other day is 0.75 mil of that and 0.75 mil of that.
Another reader to get in touch was an account director from London called Dan.
Dan.
Rob.
Hello mate, nice to meet you.
Nice
You
to
alright?
meet you too.
You good?
Yeah, good.
Do you know there's any people in your gym that are taking steroids?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And what, because you can tell, or?
It's openly discussed with some people. You can tell, I ask. You look at some people and you're like, crikey, you know, you're really in the midst of a cycle and you can just see it physically all over them. And having been through it yourself, you can really see people that are either cycling on or at the peak of it or are cycling off.
You can see where it could be addictive or where people could abuse it, because you feel like superhuman when you do it. So, and when you see the strength increases, people think, oh, this is amazing.
Zero aches and pains, super quick recovery time, and then obviously you're just building on that muscle all the time, so you're able to go up the weights every week, you know, if not before. You're sort of really starting to push yourself, and it does shift your state of mind and your attitude and your approach to the gym. You go into the gym and sometimes it can be a little intimidating, especially when you're a smaller guy, which I was, and then all of a sudden, you know, felt like I really belonged in there and didn't really care at the size of the other guys that was in there, because all of a sudden I did feel like I belonged there more than I did before. And this photo for me just really indicates, oh, you can see I'm smiling, even though I'm looking down, my body is completely changed, you know, I'm filthy, but I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
And that for me was just a real moment of, I had changed physically and mentally, and I'd achieved something that I never thought I could do.
My argument would be that you can do all these things naturally. It just takes longer, and you know, it's hard work. You know, eating right, month after month, year after year, exercising correctly, looking after yourself. It's a full-time job. I think that's why people want to take the shortcut, because they can see so many people that already look like that.
Getting it all together and everything, it's a bit like, oh, should you be doing this, should you not? Don't you get a thrill or anything, but it's the norm for me now. But I can't say I enjoy it. You know, there's nothing to enjoy about it. It's just sticking a needle in your ass. It's gonna be it.
And so I remember the very first time that I had the injection, and I asked my friend to do it for me.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I think I was more worried about the pain of the needle than actually the course itself, which is ridiculous when I think back now.
So like I said, the needle exchanges now, the chemists have cottoned on to, you know, what people are doing, so at least they're being sort of wary with it and giving you clean, sterile needles in packs. This is specifically for Steroid injection.
So where'd you get this from?
Just a local chemist. You know, they've got the clipboard there with how many people and what they're picking up, and it's just sheets and sheets and sheets of initials with these called like the green packs because they're basically for steroid use. And it's just 90% of what's on there is people picking this up. So the chemists know all about it, but they're doing the right thing by going, well, if you're going to do it safely.
It was bad enough buying an illegal substance, right? And then to discover that most people go to the needle exchanges in the chemists. I went twice, and I was like, I ain't doing this again, because you're in the same category as people that are taking heroin.
Did you ever speak to like a doctor or like a physician about steroids?
I was completely open. That's why
really?
I was having the test. Yeah.
And he was like, this is all right for you to do. And
well, it's normal now these days, to be honest. I mean, the only reason I'd be having a testosterone blood test is either if I'm trying for a baby, or it's going to be steroids, and they're going to look at you and go, well, you know,
yeah,
it's obviously for the steroids. But if you're open and honest about it, they're fine to help. They'd rather help than you end up, you know, costing them hundreds of £1,000s with a heart transplant because you've abused it.
There are positive sides to it, but there are also negative sides to it. And some of those are physical, and some of those will change your behaviour, you know, and change part of who you are, make you more aggressive. So I had 3 unfortunate incidents where I took a beating.
There's one guy I know who, he's been on it years. You know, he's lost his hair and so forth. You know, that's one of the side effects of the testosterone, long-term use of it. But like, he did so much for competing that his natural testosterone has never come back. It can't. So he's got to stay on it for life because he's screwed his own system up, basically. So you don't know what untold damage that's going to do.
I'd gone to the doctors for a checkup on a completely unrelated issue, and they needed to take some blood tests, and the results came back and they detected really high markers of toxins from my liver. And so they called me in for the results. I was completely clear on the issue that I went in for, and he was like, what's going on with your liver? Are you like a heavy drinker? And so I was honest, I confessed, and I said, well, actually, I've been taking anabolic steroids. And he said, well, you can see the clear results of what it's having on your liver and what it's doing to your blood. But for me, that was a real wake-up call.
Some poor kid could just buy some tests, get a needle, it could have air in it, it goes straight into a vein, and bang, he's gone. So there needs to be an education with it, you know, because you can't stop them, but at least you can educate them. So, like, if my boy, when he's sort of 18, says to me, I'm going to go to Creamfields for the weekend, I'd be like, right, okay, well, there's going to be drugs, there's going to be this, there's going to be aware of this, you know. You can't stop it, but at least you can educate them, and hopefully they can, you know, make the right decision with it.
I've bought this stuff, but what am I actually putting in my body? You know, as with any controlled substance, right? That if you're not getting it through official or regulated channels, you know, how pure is this? You know, has it really been made in an environment that's clean and, you know, clinically clean? Because you're putting this stuff in your body, right?
For every smart decision, there's going to be a guy who cannot be asked or doesn't understand what they're reading. And that's when it comes into the abuse, and there's no regulation of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at sort of binge drinking and so forth. For every one guy who has a glass of wine with his meal at night, there's another guy binge drinking. It's choice. It's who you are.
I mean, it's obvious to me that the problem has grown at such a rate and is so big now that trying to stop people from using them by clamping down on it isn't going to stop people using them. What's more important at this stage, I believe, is that we limit the number of people misusing and misunderstanding how to use steroids. That's where I think the real point of change can come, and in that way we can, I think, limit some of the dangers of misuse that clearly exist in a high percentage of men.
Anyone with that education is going to make a smart decision, and the smart decision is they've done the research on it, so they're making that choice, full knowledge, aware of what it can do and, you know, the risks.
Some people aren't so lucky and will keep doing it and abusing their bodies. You may look good on the outside, but it can be destroying you on the inside.